Now then, how do? So, decided to go for a bit of a ride today. Not used my mountain bike in a long time, so I wanted to come out, scout out a few wild camping spots, but also I've been promising a hammock how-to video. So as you'll know from the title of the video, we're here today to sort of show you the do's and don'ts about wild hammock camping, and basically what I found has worked and hasn't worked for me. We're actually in Delamere Forest today, which isn't too far from me, and yeah, we've been all the way around the lake, got back near the road, and I've actually found this pretty little place here. I don't think I'd be drinking water out there. It's not exactly the water source I'd like, with the moss on top, probably a bit poisonous. Show you what that's about later in another video. So first of all, if you want to go hammock camping, you're obviously going to need a hammock. The one I use is just a DD Frontline Multicam hammock. It's an older version. Di's got a later version, and the spreader bars across the top of the net are actually wider, so it gives you a bit more space, less claustrophobic. But yeah, we'll show you them when we come to them. So, Multicam hammock. Next is a DD 3x3 tarp. Again, mine's in Multicam, just blends in a little bit better. I use these because excellent quality, so many different attachment points, which I'll show you again. If you look at that picture there, there's all the different pull-out points that are attached, really strong. And yeah, I think it's brilliant. I've got a cheaper one as well, which we use just to throw up shelters when we're out in the woods when it's raining, and it's not a patch on this, but we'll get that out in a bit. Next is a more recent investment. It's a DD under blanket. So basically what it is, same sort of material as sleeping bag, but it attaches to the underside of your hammock, so it creates a nice little space of air underneath, and what that does is it keeps you warm. So I didn't bother with one of these at first. What I was using was an air mat underneath in the space in between there's two layers inside the DD hammock. I was putting a mat in between. It works for some people. Di swears by his, he loves it. But for me, I actually woke up one night and the mat had popped out 90 degrees to me. So when I woke up freezing cold with a cold back, it was sticking out the side, bright red as well, so not exactly inconspicuous. Anyway, yeah, I've gone for this, and so far well impressed, but we'll show you how to set that up in a minute. And then finally, for when it's really cold, what we've got is a wool blanket. So I did a bit of research on these, and I've actually gone for an ex-army, Swiss Army wool blanket. So it smells like it's been stored for about 30 years, but these things are incredibly warm, and even when they're wet as well, they can still keep you warm. So yeah, good bit of kit. I did cut mine down to save on space, but you know, you don't have to. If you've got a bigger Bergen or a bag, then it'd be perfectly fine for you, really. They are heavy though, and a bit old school, but you can't beat old school heat sometimes. So what we'll do, we'll start with the hammock, and we'll show you a few bits that make up the hammock that I've added to it. So the initial suspension system is basically, this is what they come with. It's just webbing. It's alright, does the job. It's quite long, however, it can be quite annoying adjusting it. Basically what happens when you get it is the loop attached through the hammock, and then these two bits, you literally find a tree and you tie them round it. That can be quite annoying. If you get your hang wrong in the first instance, you have to untie everything again and then pull it more taut. Fairly long, but I wouldn't say the longest to go around any sort of decent trees for a double wrap, but we'll show you what we've swapped these for now anyway. So if you do go and buy a DD hammock, when you're on their website, you'll see an option for a suspension system called Whoopie slings and tree huggers, and basically what it is two Caribinas, really strong, and two tree huggers, tree straps. So next up is the hammock itself. I've done a couple of modifications to this since I've had it, and just a few extra bits that I've bought. First of all, what comes with them tree huggers is a whoopie sling system, and essentially when I showed you these, the original webbings, what you're doing is you're replacing it with this. So this is a whoopie sling, and believe it or not, that'll take up to 125 kilos, I want to say. It's really good. It has a bit like a Chinese finger trap sort of mechanism which holds it in place. So essentially what you've got is you've got your loop here, which you attach to the carabiner, and then this here, which is like your Chinese finger trap. So if I put some pressure on here and show you, it should, there you go, I can pull that shorter, and my loop's really small. But what else I can do is I can also pull it that way and make it much longer. So what I'll do, we'll hook this up now onto the two Caribinas for our suspension system, and we'll also explain why it looks like this. So I've chose these two trees here. Nice spot, right? Probably wouldn't wild camp here because it's so close to a road and there is footpaths, but just for the purpose of the demonstration, perfect. It's a nice little picturesque place, and also a couple of Christmas trees, so Merry Christmas. And basically just hook it on. Simple as that. That's it. As you can see, that side's far too long, and that side might even be a bit too high on that tree. In fact, it definitely is. So what we'll do is make a quick adjustment. So as I've mentioned, there's another little modification I've put on, which is this Multicam sock. And all it does is it keeps the actual hammock protected, especially if it's raining like it is now, and when you've got it on the floor as well, it just keeps it all nice and clean. So that's another little addition that you can get, all from the DD shop. Now it's starting to rain, so I'm going to throw up my tarp and show you how that's done. So for your tarp, what you're going to need is a ridge line. Again, it's just 550 paracord. Thanks to a friend for donating this Multicam paracord. It just kind of matches the kit. You don't have to have it. It's a bit of a gimmick really, but I like it, it's cool. So yeah, for your ridge line you want a nice long length. I haven't really got any measurements for you for how long this is, but it's fairly long, and you'll see in a second. So on one end of my ridgeline paracord, I do a simple knot like this, and what that enables you to do is pass it around the tree, slide the rest of the rope through it, and then what happens then is you can bite onto the tree without having to tie it on both ends. So that'll be as tight as ever. The harder you pull, the tighter it gets, so one end's done for you. So we'll chuck that on now, and then I'll show you the knot for the other side. You want to go as high as you can really for this. On the last wild camp I had it pretty low because we had some wind coming in and we were on a hill, but for the example of this we're going to do it nice and high. I'm going to sit in there, chill out for a bit. So I'm just going to pass this around the tree. Easiest way for this is probably just to chuck it round. And again, all I'm going to do is pass this through here, find your desired height, and pull it tight. So we'll pull this over to the other side and tie off a knot. And then you've got that like a guitar string. Okay, so ideally you want to be able to get it right way around the tree. And for this example we can just tie off on here. So in this example I've been really lucky, the fact that we've had this here. So all I've done is wrapped it round, come back on itself, back around the back of the tree, which is putting tension on this. And then I've had this stump here where I've just been able to do a simple double knot. That's all that is. There are plenty of other knots that you can do. I usually like to tie it back onto the ridge line so it pulls it back again. And then I use a trucker's hitch. If you want to see any videos on tying knots and whatnot, simple Google search and you'll find loads of YouTubers out there doing that. So next up is attaching the tarp to the ridge line. So with your tarp, I just stuff it in my bag. It's probably still wet from last time, to be honest. Didn't have a chance to unpack. Yeah, it smells musty. You have a few pegs in here. I'll explain what they're for in a bit. So with tarps, these little Caribinas are your friend. These. Get them super cheap off Amazon. I think I ended up with about 20 odd. I ordered 6, 20 odd came from Amazon and it must have cost about £4. And basically what I do, this tarp's folded in half, okay? So that gives you your centre line for your tarp. Okay, there's 5 connection points. As I said, DD tarps are fantastic. So for each one, what you want to do, you want to connect the carabiner across the top. And here, so I've got 5 Caribinas here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go and hook them onto the ridge line. Now the biggest problem I had when I first started setting up my hammocks and my tarp was getting a super crisp, taut tarp. And basically how that's achieved is a combination of the Caribinas and also Perusic knots. So I'm going to show you a Perusic knot now. Super simple to make and it'll make your life so much easier with these tarp and hammock setups. Well, that is basically a Perusic knot. Okay, incredibly easy to make. I'll show you how to do it. Dead easy. It's basically a loop of paracord with a knot tied in the end, and all you want to do is go over there, go through, go through twice, and that's your Perusic knot. Okay, purpose of this is that it's nice and tight, but you can also move it. There you go. Nice and taut. Next bit is pegging it out. So on the bottom, basically what you've got is guy lines like a tent. Okay, one in the middle and one at each end, both sides. So we'll quickly get these plugged in and make ourselves a quick shelter. And there you go. It's our shelter made, just in time as the heavens are opening. So we'll get inside and we'll show you a bit more on the hammock. Under the tarp now, so I've got myself a nice shelter out of the rain. Some people prefer theirs a little bit higher. I just like mine like this. I like to be able to get underneath it when I'm sat in the hammock. It's nice and low on me. Maybe it keeps a bit of heat in. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. So yeah, what we're going to talk about now is this sock here. As you've seen, that's now kept my hammock dry during all the rain, which is fantastic. It's exactly why I got it, and I recommend everyone else gets it. So it does have this little toggle here so it can keep the inside dry, just exactly what it's made for. So all you need to do now is just pull that back. And there you go, that's revealed your hammock. So on each end you have some bungees, and all your bungees do is essentially hold up your bug net. So what I do is I clip them to this carabiner here, dead simple, straight in there, and as you can see that's held up there. So I'll do the same the other side. And there you go. So I mentioned earlier about some sort of stay bars at the top of the hammock bug net that hold them out so it's not as claustrophobic. Just like mini tent poles, fiberglass tent poles, and where they go is just in here. Can you see? Yeah, in that little hole, and they spread them out. And that's it. Literally just hold it out. So when you're in there, nice bit of space, keep the bugs off you. Yeah, so the inside of your hammock, quite a nice hang. You have a little seat in here. Yeah. Yeah, that's comfy for anyone, that. That's alright. There's no under blanket on it at the minute, but I'll bring you that in a sec. Something else I want to show you with the tarp first, which is lifting the front of the tarp so you can keep your view. Not too shabby. I'll show you how to do that now. So basically all you want to do, take your cord off your centre, wrap it around anything long enough. In this case, a broken tripod selfie stick, great. Wrap it around once, pull it down there, stick it in the ground, and then you've got fantastic view straight out of your hammock, looking at Christmas trees. Marvellous. Right, so I've mentioned the DD under blanket. Now this for me was a game changer with the hammock. Basically just kept me toasty warm all night from underneath. Unfortunately my sleeping bag let me down, but we'll go into that in a later review. I'll show you how this works. You know I said Caribinas are your friend. Loads of Caribinas. I'll attach it on and then we'll run round it. So there you go, wool blanket inside. With the right sleeping bag and this setup, I think you'd be good well below freezing. The DD under blanket claims to protect you down to -5 degrees. With the addition of a good army wool blanket, especially the Swiss Army with how rated that is, you'd be good down to -8, I'd say, with the right sleeping bag, of course. Right, so thanks for watching. I hope you learned something from that. Hope you've learned from my mistakes that I've made in the past. And yeah, let me know what you think. If you want to see any more instructional videos, or if you just want to see me out on my usual adventures getting drunk with dye, then let it be known. Either way, I'm happy to provide whatever videos that you want. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. And if you like the channel, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It really does help. It's also a bit of motivation for me to get out in the rain on days like this, just to make videos to show you how to do things. Peace out.